Samsara dava nalalira loka Tranaya karinya ghana ghanatyam
Samsara davana lalira loka Tranaya karuna ghana ghanatyam
Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya
Hare Krishna. Welcome to Sri Vrndavana Dham. This is the home of Srila Prabhupada that was built by his disciples in 1972, where Prabhupada spent so many intimate times with his disciples and followers. My name is Daivishakti. I've been here trying to serve Srila Prabhupada since 1974. A good portion of that time was spent here in Prabhupada's rooms, cleaning his house and cooking for him while he was present, and then after he disappeared, taking care of his quarters so that the public could come in and see his rooms. So this first room is Srila Prabhupada's darshan area. It's a very large room. Now in the corner of the room is the bed where Prabhupada left. He enters samadhi while lying on this bed. So when Prabhupada was here with his disciples from 1972 to 1977, this bed wasn't here. It was brought here by Hari Sori. He had it donated by one life member. Just when Prabhupada came in around September, October of 77, when Prabhupada was too ill to move much. So he thought it would be better to keep Prabhupada here in the main room. Prabhupada, his asana was always here, and this beautiful desk was carved for Srila Prabhupada. This is where Prabhupada would greet his guests and also where he would do most of his translation work in the house, although he did do a lot of translating in his upstairs bedroom at night. So Prabhupada would, in the evening time, he would have the house open for public darshan, and many devotees, many visitors would come and ask Prabhupada questions, or Prabhupada would have readings going on, and that would be just before the arti time in the evening. This is a picture of Radha Rasa Bihari at Bombay. This photo used to go everywhere with Srila Prabhupada to remind him that he had an unfinished task there in Bombay. So of course when Srila Prabhupada entered samadhi, the photo stayed here. Prabhupada would often look at this photo and say that he had made a promise to Radha Rasa Bihari that he would complete This is his address at the Radhabansi Gopal Temple at Keshigat for the League of Devotee letterheads. Founder Secretary Goswami Abhay Charan, Bhaktivedanta, with the different types of membership fees that you can have. Patron, advisor, constitutional, and sympathizer. Sympathizer was rupees 10 per year. So Prabhupada would use this for writing his letters. And then this is the letter pad for his Hindi edition of Back to Godhead called Bhagavad Darshan. We also have some issues of that in his Almira that we'll show later. So this is all in Hindi, giving his addresses at both Keshigat in Vrindavan and the Dharmshala, the Swarup, Narayan, Agarwal, Veni, Madhav, Dharmshala ke Samne in Kanpur. This is a Kanpur address that Srila Prabhupada used to use. Both his Vrindavan and Kanpur addresses are given here. This is a very close associate of Srila Prabhupada's. This is his Grundig dictaphone that will go everywhere with Srila Prabhupada. Quite famous amongst his secretaries and servants. They'd have to set it up for Prabhupada, and the tapes would be sent for preparing the books. So this is the microphone that we'd often see in Prabhupada's hands when pictures were taken of him when he was translating. These are some of the preserved issues of the original Back to Godhead that Prabhupada printed. The first is March 1952, and the first page is Prabhupada's very famous poem that was given to his spiritual master on his Vyasa Puja that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati appreciated very much. When we first opened Srila Prabhupada's Almira in his back bedroom, we found this little booklet, and it turned out that Prabhupada, he had an interview, a meeting with Indira Gandhi when she was the Prime Minister, I believe in 1976. And before that meeting, Prabhupada had jotted down 10 notes that he wanted to present to her to grant immigration for 500 foreigners, which was approved, but it never happened. He wanted all the MPs, the Ministers of Parliament, to be initiated Brahmins. He wanted the elder son of Indira Gandhi, Sanjay, to be the king, and Indira Mother the queen, so that a proper monarchy could be set up in the country. He said that all slaughterhouses should be completely prohibited. Unfortunately, it was Indira Gandhi who sanctioned that slaughterhouses and cow slaughter could be performed here in India, which was a greatly sinful act at that time. He wanted chanting to go on regularly everywhere. Meat eating could only be done at home. Prostitution punishable. No religious groups except for Bhagavad Gita as it is. And all officers must attend kirtan at least thrice in a day. That also Krishna consciousness should be supported all over the world. One time Prabhupada took a walk down to our Taparia house, which was later turned into the Bhaktivedanta Swami Goshala. Mr. Taparia, one of our life members in Bombay, had donated that house and land. So when he was there, the devotees asked Prabhupada to step in some soft clay, some sculpting clay, to get his footprint impressions. And from that, molds of Prabhupada's footprints were made and distributed to the various temples. You'll see those footprints on many of the Vyasasans in the major temples. This is a beautiful compact that was given to Srila Prabhupada by Hari Suri. This is Krishna and Balaram in solid gold. And inside is a mirror with a picture of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. This is a gold straw that was given by Sulochan Das and Sulochan Dasi. Prabhupada would use this to drink his dabs, that's the green coconuts, and for his afternoon juice. This also will go with Prabhupada everywhere. These were Prabhupada's bathroom shoes. Some wooden shoes that Prabhupada would use to go into the bathroom. He'd only use it for that purpose. So when Prabhupada was placed in Samadhi, Omkara had these covered with silver. But then he decided not to put them there because there's so much theft. Prabhupada had instructed him to not use any real silver and gold for the deities because it attracts thieves. So we keep them locked up here and we show them once a year. This is one of Srila Prabhupada's walking canes. It's a silver cane shaped like a lion that Kirtananda Swami had brought here for Prabhupada from New Vrindavan. This key was worn by Srila Prabhupada wherever he went around the world. It's the key to Prabhupada's private Elmira here in Vrindavan. This is a colored photocopy of the inside of Prabhupada's passport, his last passport, with his signature and picture and some interesting details. Name of Prabhupada's father is late Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. And he gives his address at one of our older Delhi temples at Lajpat Nagar. This is from the 20th of August 1977. In the description of Srila Prabhupada, under visible distinguishing marks, it's written Vishnu Tilak on forehead. Srila Prabhupada will come out either from his prasadam room or from his back door into the garden. Sometimes on his back veranda he would set up his bed and mosquito net and sleep out here in the heat. Other times he would just like to sit out here on his asan in the evening times with his disciples surrounding him, and they would speak with him. Also, during the daytime, he would often have his massage out here. And even sometimes he would go into this fountain. There's a little step, and he would bathe in the fountain. Srila Prabhupada would come into his upstairs bedroom and sit at his desk. We would bring him his milk and evening meal at 9 o'clock. Only his servant, his secretary, and Vishwambar Dayal, that's Bhagatji, would come up to see Prabhupada here. Bhagatji would come every night and just talk personally with Prabhupada and massage his feet when Prabhupada went into his bed on his back veranda. We hope you enjoyed the tour of Srila Prabhupada's house. Please come here for darshan, for inspiration. Just walking through Prabhupada's rooms, you'll feel his presence. Prabhupada is eternally here. He called Vrindavan his home, and this is his home, his house here. All of his activities are still going on here. We can feel Prabhupada's presence. When you understand what Prabhupada did in each of the rooms and how the devotees served him here, how so many devotees came here to make their offerings to Prabhupada, to spend the last days with Srila Prabhupada, these rooms come alive with just love for Srila Prabhupada. So we're sure that if you come here, you'll feel all of that love and affection that Prabhupada had for his devotees and the devotees have for Prabhupada here. Hare Krishna.
Okay, now this is a viewing of Hare Krishna Land ISKCON building. It's a guest house tower. Tower A, Prabhupada quarter, and Tower B, the guest house. We are entering into the Prabhupada quarter. It is the right entrance of the lobby, and this is the desk where the Secretary Tamal Krishna Maharaj's desk, and this was his chamber. We are entering into the Prabhupada kitchen. This was Prabhupada kitchen. We have all the old paraphernalia of Prabhupada. For example, this is the old stove, and this is cookers. You can see Prabhupada would carry on this cooker on this photograph. Prabhupada personally cooking on this, and this is the pot. Here you can, in one time he can cook the rice, dal, sabji, and one other thing. 4 preparation in one cooking, which Prabhupada was making an experiment. This is the deity Radha Krishna we offer Prabhupada's bhog from the kitchen. Then we have this photograph. It's Pisima, Prabhupada's sister, has visited Bombay. So this is a photograph is taken. Now we are entering into the Prabhupada's daytime office. This is a Prabhupada daytime office. Here, this deity, Prabhupada is to sit down here, discuss with his personal secretary, official work. And here, our old Vyasasana, and we have one of the last photograph of Prabhupada in Bombay Juhu Temple on this Vyasasana. This is one of the last photograph of Prabhupada in Bombay. Okay, now we are entering into the Prabhupada's main hall in the new building. We started with saying this was his table for dining. He used to have a lunch here. And that is the last photograph of Prabhupada in Juhu Vyasasana. This is a desk. He would translate. This is translate equipment. His old dictaphone. Now coming to the Prabhupada's another hall where we display Prabhupada's so many of personal use as such. This is his beads, and there's one wooden sandalwood knife to open the letters, then the toothpick box, and one frame with the Radha Krishna. These are some of the first edition of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada brought it to Bombay, and he left it for us. This is his shoes. This is a book, Sanskrit, he used to translate from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita written there.
You see, this temple work was to start. So this is sea area. Every building has piling. You know the piling? It goes 30 feet, 35 feet below the ground. So I said to Guruji that we must piling in this land to build the temple. But Guruji suddenly said, no piling is required in our land. After that, we called the soul specialist who test the soul, and he also given the report, the piling is must required for this land. Then we called another engineer. He also said the piling is must required. He also discussed with Guruji, but Guruji said no. Piling is not required in our land. So Guruji said, you can test the soul by a boring machine. So I called one boring wala. When the boring went 5 feet, the boring book he cannot pull out. So then Guruji said, you dig the land. And we dig the land, and you see the sand and the stone just melt up, and put a very hard stone. Then I called that soul testing engineer, that he said, you can build 8-story building here, no fear, no dangers. When I took the darshan of Radha Ras Bihari, Madhuvisa told me that just now Prabhupada ji came from America, so you can take darshan from him. So he took me to the Prabhupada, and I take darshan of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada questioned to me that, what are you working? I told, as Prabhu, I am getting up early in the morning, taking 1 cup of tea, and then go to bathroom, and that to my business. Then Prabhupada ji suddenly said that what is difference between you and a pig? He is also eating, he has a children, and just like you, but you are not chanting Mahamantra or Krishna name. So I said that, Prabhupada, I have not got such a relation to the satsang that I have no habit of this. Then Prabhupada ji suddenly called Madhuvisa and asked me where you are staying. I said that I am staying at Goregaon. So Prabhupada ji ordered to Madhuvisa that every Sunday after the Mangal Aarti, you all devotee go to the Sethi's house and do the Nagar Sankirtan there, that he must get association with you and he will be a devotee. So for 1 year, all devotees are coming to my house every Sunday, and we are doing Nagar Sankirtan there, about 10 miles, 15 miles, and then back to my house, and then they take feast there, and then they come back. So by this way, I attached with ISKCON.
I would always make sure, because Pishima trained me like this, that I would always stay very quiet and distant from Srila Prabhupada so I wouldn't disturb him. Because so much of the time we would be in direct contact with Srila Prabhupada in his house, doing the cleaning, doing the cooking, bringing him so many things, making his medicines. So I learned to never disturb Prabhupada in any way. But I saw that a lot of the other devotees, they were able to act in a very open manner with Prabhupada, and were always asking him questions and looked like they were joking with him. So I started to think, well, these devotees, they're so much more advanced than me because they get to have a closer relationship with Prabhupada. And I'm such a fool. Here I am, never asking Prabhupada any questions, just doing my service and being very careful not to talk to Prabhupada. So maybe I should start being more friendly with Srila Prabhupada. So one evening, I decided to try it out, and I brought Prabhupada in some sweets, and he immediately saw my change of personality and stopped me right then and there. So the next evening, I knew that I had done the wrong thing, and Prabhupada also let me know immediately that I shouldn't change my mode of service. So the next evening, Prabhupada was sitting in his room with Bhagaji and another god sister, and Prabhupada started talking to them, and he was telling them that he liked my service because I was always silent and hardworking. So Bhagaji immediately came out after talking to Prabhupada. He came here to the kitchen, and he repeated to me what Prabhupada had said, not knowing the plan of action I had tried the night before. So Prabhupada was letting me know through Bhagaji that he appreciated more the fact that I was silent and hardworking in my service instead of trying to become too artificially affectionate with Prabhupada.
So by then it is 1975. He asked me, now you learned so many things, you should go around the world and preach. I said, yes, I'll go. Then I tried to make my passport. Then in the passport required the father name, and I don't know who is supposed to be my father. So I didn't bother. So after a month, Prabhupada asked, you are still here. You should go and preach. I said, I'm not getting my passport. He said, why you're not getting your passport? I said, they require my father's name. He said, bring that form. So Aditya was there for secretary typing. She has a form. She typed the whole thing. He said, here, write my name as A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada as your father. And he signed and sealed. And he said, go get your passport. So I went to Sethi. He arranged the passport in 2 days. On 3rd day, I was on the flight to travel the world. Then I think Brahmananda asked him, or Bhagwan, he asked him, Prabhupada, why did you put his name why did you put your name as his father? He said, because I put my father's name as my guru's name in my passport. In Prabhupada's passport, his guru's name was as his father. So he can do that. I did to him. So okay, I accepted. Ever since I have all documents, my father's name is Prabhupada in my driving license and passport and property, anything we do it.
So I sit here, Guruji was sitting here, and Guruji said so many Gita shloka, and why are you weeping? Death is nothing. That is only that soul is changing the clothes, just like body, soul is changing the body. Death is nothing. Why you are weeping for that? But you cannot die by this disease because you have to work for temple so much. So I said that doctor says that if you pull out your patas from the neck and the chest, you will be die. And Guruji said, pull out the patas and throw away from the window. I will see that how you will die. So I pull out the patas and through this window. And Guruji said here about 2 hours and then said, you are not died, you are alive. So you cannot die by this disease. The thing is this, you remember, you have promised to Krishna some time ago. Remember that. So after some minutes, I got that memory that when I came here in Bombay from Pakistan, so I was no house to live. I have no money to work. So I promised to Krishna that Krishna, if you kindly give me one house and 1 lakh rupee, then I will always chant your name. And I said to Guruji, yes, I remember this promise I done to Krishna. And Guruji said, he has given so many lakhs of rupees, so many houses, but you have not chanted Krishna. So Krishna put chanta kya bole? Slap to me. No, you go and build the building. You cannot go to the toilet. No, you take this mala and do the japa and you will be all right.
This was again in 1974, maybe in August, after Janmashtami. Prabhupada was again recovering from his health, from his sickness. And we used to cook for Prabhupada, and then after cooking for Prabhupada, we would make something for his servants and secretaries to eat. There were 3 of them that we were cooking for that time. I think it was Brahmananda Swami, Bhagavan, Shrutikirti, maybe a few others. So we would bring that prasadam for them around to the front, and then a servant would come and drop off their plates, and we'd have to wash them all out here in the garden because there was no water in the house then. We'd have to draw all the water from the front well. So I was still in cleaning the kitchen up, and the plates of the servants had been left outside of the kitchen, my not knowing it. And the devotees hadn't finished their prasadam that day, so there was still some remnants on their plates. And Prabhupada came into the kitchen to go to his bathroom, and he saw these plates, and he called me, and he said, "What is this?" And I saw the plates. Normally I would have taken them and washed them right away. I said, "Oh, that's a mistake, Prabhupada. I was supposed to clean them." And he looked quite displeased. So immediately Prabhupada walked through his house to the front room where his secretaries lived. And seeing that Prabhupada was displeased, I picked up the plates and came the back way to show Brahmananda what Prabhupada had seen and how he wasn't happy about it. So simultaneously, Prabhupada came from one door and I came from another door with the plates in my hands. And Prabhupada called me in and had me show them the plates with the prasadam on it. And he explained to them that no matter who you are, no matter whether you're GBC or anyone, once you touch the plate, whatever is on that plate, you have to finish it because it's prasadam. You shouldn't leave any prasadam on the plate. So Brahmananda, he said, jokingly, he said, "But Prabhupada, I had burped." So I thought that after you burp, you couldn't finish it. So anyway, the point Prabhupada was making, that whatever he said you can take off first. If they've given you too much, before you start, you take off. And that doesn't have to be completed. But whatever you have on your plate when you start, you have to finish that prasadam. So that he was telling to the topmost members of our society, the GBCs and personal secretaries, they had to finish their prasadam. Just like a father, he was instructing them.
About Prabhupada's quarters. One day, Prabhupada was slightly sick, and at क्या नाम था उसका? No. Tamal Krishna. Tamal Krishna was standing on the gate that nobody entered to Prabhupada's quarter. I and my wife went there to take darshan of Guruji. So I said, "Tamal Krishna, I want to take darshan of Guruji." Tamal Krishna said that nobody allowed to take darshan. Prabhupada ji heard my voice inside, and Prabhupada ji called, "Tamal Krishna, Sethi is there?" Tamal Krishna said, "Yes." "Yes, allow him to come here." And I went there. Then Guruji said to me that, "Mr. Sethi, you see all the flat, all the devotees has furnished my quarter." So I went and see the bed and carpets, kitchen and bathroom, very well furnished. I came back and said, "Guruji, this is very well furnished." And Guruji suddenly said, "You both are here, you come here and stay here. I am a sannyasi. I don't want this decoration. I will go to another room." So how kind of Guruji, nobody can amaze this, like this kripa kind of so much highly Guru. I am nothing, but he loved me so much. So you see, that is very, very mercy of Guruji.
One day, Prabhupada at his room, he was usually, nobody was that day. So usually, he always very serious talking. That day he was little laughing and talking to himself. Like his hand was like this and he was, laughing. I said, "Prabhupada, what you're laughing?" I just went to the room and, "What are you laughing?" So Prabhupada said, "The reason I was laughing, I just remember my past life." Then I said, "Prabhupada, what was your past life?" Then he said, "I was a medical person and I had Guru and I had committed no sin. Then one day, I remember it was raining and the shade on the hut, I was serving my Guru as a fanning, and my Guru Maharaj see on the rain there's one snake, and he made me go and kill that snake. Then he said, now I remember why my Guru Maharaj made me kill that snake, so I have to take birth again in this life to save so many snakes like you all.
You see, a Guru like Prabhupada was so merciful. I have seen that he is loving to everybody. He has so much love to devotees. I am telling one story to you. One Christian boy came to temple, this Hare Krishna land, and there was a tree of papita. He took some papita from the tree, and was going, and a devotee caught him, and he bring that boy to Guruji and said, this boy is stealing our papita. And Guruji said, what he will do with papita? Then devotee said, he will eat. And then Guruji said to devotee, if you will take that papita, what you will do? He said, I will also eat that papita. And what is different? He will eat papita and you will eat papita. From that day, his Christian boy's parents became devotee. That the man who has no difference between the devotee and a Christian, he is equally as a human being. He will eat papita and you will eat papita. Then what is the difference? So Prabhupada said to that boy, you want more? If you want more, take more. So everything, in every time, Guruji was living, any time, Guruji was saying that make more prasadam, more and more prasadam. At that days there was a ration in India. All this grain and rice was getting on ration. But Guruji was not caring for the high prices. Guruji idea was that more and more people can take prasadam. If they will eat prasadam, they will chant Hare Krishna. Their mind will be purified. If they take Krishna prasadam, their mind will be purified and they became a devotee. So this is the main thing what Guruji want to spread, to teach to everybody that you are not different, whether your skin is white, whether your skin is black, whether you are Hindu, whether you are Muslim, whether you are Christian, no difference. One thing is common in whole of us, that is, we are the soul, we are the son of the Krishna, and we want to return to Krishna. For that you simply chant Hare Krishna. No knowledge is required, no need, somebody is professor, somebody is spiritual master, somebody is very scientist, somebody is engineer. Only simply you chant Mahamantra and your association will be more and more you will get with the Krishna. Mrs. Nair came here with their solicitors, sit down in this outside, and Guruji was sitting upstairs. Then Mr. Nair told the solicitor that you please sit here. First I take time from Guruji to discuss about all cases which we have put upon the ISKCON and ISKCON put upon me. Then I will call to you. And Mrs. Nair went upstairs and she sat about 5 minutes there. 5 minutes, only 5 minutes. They got so impression that she came back and told to the solicitor that I surrendered to Guruji. Please, you can go. I will pay your fees. I will pay your fees, but you go. You can go. The same day, we came to live in this house. Then Guruji said, a sannyasi cannot live in Grastha's house. So I am going. So Guruji went in Chatai Arts where Mahatma Gandhi was staying and built by Shumati Murarji. So Guruji went there and there was no also arrangement of cleanliness. The devotees cleaned the Chatai Art and Guruji stayed there. And the night about 12 p.m. 2-3 devotees came with jeep that Mrs. Nair came to Guruji and he is calling to you. So I went there. Mrs. Nair was sitting outside the Chatai Art and she was weeping. So I went and she said that you please ask to Guruji that Guruji forgive me for the whole trouble which I have given to the ISKCON devotees, ISKCON peoples, everything. Then I went to Guruji. Then Guruji said that सुबह का भूला शाम को घर आ जाए तो उसे भूला हुआ नहीं कहते. If the man who forgot his own path in the morning, but he came in the evening in his house properly, so he has not forgot the path because he came at least in his place. तो गुरुजी ने बोला आप उसको बोलो आ जाए. Then I went to Mrs. Nair कि गुरुजी ने आपको माफ़ कर दिया. गुरुजी have forgive your all the. Then Mrs. Nair was with registrar who is registering the documents. He paid his fees and registrar came and Guruji also got up from asan and came between the hall. Then Mrs. Nair put the all documents of this Hare Krishna land in the feet of Guruji and said, please forgive me. Then Guruji said that you will not get any trouble from today. Otherwise, always he is seeing in dream his husband's soul and she cannot sleep all the night. But after that, she became all right.
When Prabhupada's house was first built and we first started using his kitchen, there were no windows or doors. It was just some pieces of wood covering up the holes. So at night, the animals used to come in and we'd have to have everything very carefully covered. Even then they would get to the things. But one night, Prabhupada had sent down some kichoris that he wanted saved. He wanted them kept for 24 hours because he wanted to try them the next night to see if they were still good. They were training up how the restaurant cook should prepare the things. He wanted to see if these kichoris would last or not for selling purposes. So Naviyogendra, he brought down the kichoris and I was busy making Prabhupada's night meal. And he said, Prabhupada wants you to save these and feed them to him tomorrow night. I said, just put them there on the shelf. And I immediately forgot about them. So the next night, it was 8:30. And just at 8:30, I remembered, oh, the kachuris, they were on the shelf. So I went to get the kachuris, and sure enough, the only thing that was there was a few crumbs. Right then, Navigender comes down. He said, Prabhupada wants to try the kachuris. I said, Prabhu, the cat must have eaten them. They're not here. So he got scared. He ran up and he told Prabhupada. He came running back down. His face was all red. He said, Prabhupada says that whoever says the cat has eaten them, they have eaten them. So I knew I hadn't eaten the kachuris, but Prabhupada was saying that I had eaten the kachuris. So I was in a real fix, because my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, he was accusing me of something that I knew I hadn't done. So it was a big test in my spiritual life. I knew I hadn't done it, and Prabhupada said I was doing it, so I realized this is all the years of Sankirtan. You have to just continue. You can't give up in your service, even if there's some setback. Prabhupada says, I took those kachuris, I ate them. Well, I just as well might have eaten them because he wants to eat them and they're not here and it's my fault. So I realized now, what is the real issue here? That Prabhupada wants some kachuris. So I had 20 minutes. It was 20 to 9. And I remembered that in the restaurant, as I was running by, they were grinding up some urad dal. So I quickly ran over to the restaurant and I got their urad dal. And I whipped up some kachuris, and exactly 9 o'clock, I brought up those kachuris to Prabhupada with his milk, and he ate those kachuris. He ate 5 in a row, and he said, these kachuris are better than the other ones, and I want you to cook them for me every night. So that was a big test of my Krishna consciousness, that even when there's setbacks, especially in the personal service of Prabhupada, when you're so closely connected with him, you have to just continue in that service. And there's always some way that Prabhupada gives you to rectify, even if there's a mistake that you've committed.
One day, I am building one story on the old building for the devotees, because the devotee was no house to live. They are staying in the chatai huts. So I am building one story on the old buildings. So one day I was very hot day, and cement and sand was put on my clothes, very dirty clothes, and I think that I will not go Guruji in this position. So when I am going that, my mind said, why you are not going to Guruji? Go to Guruji. What is there? Well, working in here, and there is must some cement and sand will put on, and I'm working like this. And I went to Guruji, and all these Giriraj Swami, Sridhar Swami was sitting there. Then Guruji said, Mr. Sethi, you are building houses for my devotees, and your house is building in Krishna Loka. Then I said, I am a sinful man, Prabhupada. How I can go to Krishna Loka? Then Guruji said, no, this I will see. This is not your duty. I will see that you will go to Krishna Loka. You see how they will love to the devotees, that who serve the devotees. Guruji show mercy upon that person who serve the devotees, that he can Krishna Loka to that person. Who is the devotee? What how kind of love to the devotees, that who serve the devotees, he can give him to Krishna Loka. What a big thing कृष्ण का दास तो कृष्ण के पास पहुंचेगा ही, कृष्ण का डिवोटी तो कृष्ण के पास पहुंचेगा ही. बट what the idea of what the mercy of Guruji, कि जो who the person serve my devotees, he will get also Krishna Loka. What a big thing, what a big philosophy.
संसार दावार ललिर लोका त्रनाय कारुण्य घना घनात्यम